What's up, gamers? Welcome to Battle Mallet Podcast, episode 49. Hex Ed, Gryselle's Arenai, and Beastbound Assault. For anyone that isn't familiar, the Battle Mallet Podcast is the journey of three busy gamers on their way to the Nova Open Convention, playing games that they love and balancing life with those games. My name is Jerod Johnson. Tonight I am joined by Trace Hyde.
Yo.
And Jason Tabled Noob Murray.
So much stuff to talk about. Nova, all this stuff.
I know. We don't even have a full-fledged Nova episode yet. Which
Not yet.
I guess it would be appropriate for our 50th episode to be like a Nova, what we signed up for and all that stuff. So there we go.
Man, just creating ideas right here on the fly.
I know, right? It's just organic, totally organic. So in this episode, we are going to cover Gryselle's Arenai and the Beastbound Assault Rivals deck in our traditional format of kind of a Rivals review, calling out our favorite cards, what you want to see early as you're playing those, and then maybe digging a little deeper into where they fit in the Nemesis format, which has come to be our favorite format for playing Warhammer Underworlds. But before we get into any of that, I guess we could chat about what we've been up to. Trace?
That sounds good. We've had some successful play nights here recently, which has been fun. Lots of Underworlds has been played over the past. I don't think we've recorded since we've had our last two. No, nope. We have not. So we had one successful one where we had a lot of new people come out and try out the game, which was very exciting for us. And then we also had another one that some of those people who came to the first one continued coming, which is always a good sign. And they bought stuff, which is also a good sign.
Yeah, we unloaded everything on them.
And they got a whole bunch of free stuff because we had a bunch of extra stuff to give away.
It was sit on some of that stuff for like, oh, let's do an event, let's save this. And like we get a bunch of new players and it's like, I just don't want it in my house anymore.
Take it.
Purge 2023. Yes.
All right. Take it. But other than those things, I've done a little painting. I got MCP talk coming. I got 2 fighters for Marvel Crisis Protocol painted. I got the Amazing Spider-Man painted and also got Agent Venom painted. And just because like those are 2 fighters that I hadn't had painted, and Jerod and I decided to do a last minute little painting challenge at the end of February. We both met our goal, which was good. Jerod painted substantially larger models than I did. But that's okay.
To a slightly different quality, I would say, than your 2 models, though.
No, they still look good, man.
Don't sell yourself short. No, I'm not selling myself short, but
so it's a little bit of painting, and then like Jerod said, like we've also done a little bit of Nova signups and stuff like that, but we can talk about that on another episode. So that's what I've been up to. And Jason, what about you?
Everything.
All the things.
It's been a pretty active February, so we got a puppy.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, it was great. Mm-hmm. Love her to death. It's like I equate having a puppy to having a newborn and a toddler at the same time. It's wonderful. But she's coming along. Other than that, yeah, like Trace mentioned, we had that awesome intro game kind of meetup at Atomic Empire. We got 9 new players to come out. It was great. A lot of those carried over into our next meetup. I got to play some Dread Pageant with Fearsome Fortress, and it was awesome. It's really cool to see the group kind of like growing and also like just getting better at the game, where I can show up at a meetup and just play. So playing the Dread Pageant full-fledged, like just playing Nemesis and having fun with it has been refreshing. I did also play some MCP. Ant-Man is really cool. So I'm sure I mentioned him on our post Nova show last year because I got wrecked by Ant-Man, but this is the first time I've actually played Ant-Man. He is very, very cool. Wasp is cool as well. And Jerod just sucks at MCP, so I won. and that's all that matters.
That's true.
Well, he won our game, so
yeah,
he must.
He
not
just
suck
likes
that
to
bad.
he might likes to misdeploy pieces.
Yeah.
Is all.
Although Weapon X is a whole different animal than X-Force is. I'll just say that.
Yeah. We should do an MCP focused episode at some point.
We've been saying that for a year.
And actually bring Danny on the show for a change.
Yeah, that's right. He might actually be on our shows. So, yeah. So, I mean, my story has largely been the same as far as the meetup. I did miss the meetup at Atomic Empire there in Durham because my daughter decided to slip off of a stool and knock off one of her toenails. So,
you got 9 more.
That's right. Yeah. So instead of being out and gaming, I was at home with my older 2 children while my wife and mother-in-law were at the emergency room making sure that my 2-year-old did not have a broken toe. And she did, in fact, not. And so now she is basically fully healed, still minus a toenail because those take a while to grow back. But she's running around doing all of the things that a 2-year-old will do now. But that was fun. And then the painting challenge, I painted the 3 Sentinels for Marvel Crisis Protocol. And I also painted Pyro and Blob for Marvel Crisis Protocol. So, so I've got that going, which has been nice. It was nice to put paint on a brush again. I think it had been quite some time since I had done that.
I could tell you were enjoying it too. Like you kind of got back into it and you're like, oh, yeah, I like doing this.
That's right.
Sometimes it just takes doing it.
Yeah, you just get started and you're like, oh, I've started this project and I can see it through to completion. So that's nice.
That's what I like about the MCP models too. Like you paint one and you're done. Like,
yes.
It's a project in itself.
Yeah.
And it's one model, get it knocked out. Momentum carries over. So
you mean a unit isn't like 10 to 20 models?
Nope.
Shut your pie hole, Connie.
Okay.
No.
On a square base.
Yeah. Nope.
10 to 20, that's small. 30 or 40, that's where you get real, man.
That's them undead army numbers, though.
That's not them Chaos Warrior army numbers. Nope. No. Well, cool. Yeah, I think that's it. Anything else?
No, maybe not.
I don't think so.
I don't know. Well, if we forgot it, we'll catch it in the outro.
That's fair.
No. So I guess with that, we'll take a break.
We'll take a break. We'll be back in a minute.
We'll tack a break and come back. Hopefully not be out of whack. All right. We'll be
Cut
back
the guy some slack.
We'll be back with
you guys
Gryselle's
don't know,
Arenai
Jack.
right after this. And we're back. You're the worst. I'm just keeping it. It doesn't matter. All right, so we're
it was in stereo.
We're gonna dig into Gryselle's Arenai at this point. So what we're not gonna do is read through every single stat on the fighter cards. The images, courtesy of the Warhammer community page, will be featured in the blog that accompanies this. And you'll be able to find the link to the blog in the show notes, or go to blog.battle-mallet.com and you'll see the blog there. And you'll be able to see all the stats. Or, I don't know, maybe by the time you're listening to this, you already have the fighter cards in hand. Either way.
And then you're just going to like open a pack.
Yeah.
That came out of a sack.
And just read along.
You can build your models and put them right next to your bric-a-brac. Anyway, so we have this 5-fighter warband. They are some lithe-looking murder elf ladies. So we'll start with Gryselle, the Slaughterer. She's the leader. She has 4 wounds, and she's the only model in this warband that has 4 wounds. But she does have a rule that carries over to the rest of the warband, and that rule is acrobatic. And this is when this fighter is dealt damage by an attack action, reduce that damage by 1 to a minimum of 1 for each dodge in the defense roll. So this is a slightly worse version of the Wormspat ability for anyone that is familiar with them. But when your fighters, most of them have 2 defense dice, the chances of rolling a dodge are pretty good. So there's a decent chance that you're going to get some damage reduction out on these fighters. The other thing to note about this warband is, like the previous Murder Elf ladies, they all inspire in the third round, but they each then also have an additional unique inspire condition. So for the leader, she inspires if her attack action results in a critical hit, and she has a reasonably accurate attack action to start that only gets better when she inspires. She's 2 damage, and her attack action, her primary attack action, like the rest of the fighters in this warband, has the combo keyword. So that's something that's new. So every fighter will have combo on their primary attack action. And the leader also gets Crit Grievous 1. So she has 2 damage with a chance for 3. And then we'll just move on down the line. So we have Thriala the Lash. She has a whip and a bladed buckler. So the whip is range 2, reasonably accurate attack. And then her bladed buckler is it's like the wolf bite, right? One hammer for 1 damage, 1 smash, 1 damage.
Yes.
Yeah. So
she's like Lady of the Whip version 2.0 is what she is.
True. Yeah. So
she has combo on her primary, and then the follow up is the buckler. Yep.
Yeah.
Camus had the same kind of profile, except Camus's barbed whip did 2 flat damage right out the gate. And the bladed buckler is the same, but the lash is on 2 dodge, and Camus was on a single dodge before they kind of inspired. So
yeah, and did not have acrobatic.
Correct.
Yeah. And then Thriala's unique inspire condition is this fighter makes an attack action as a reaction. So she has that built into her fighter card thanks to the follow-up rule on her bladed buckler. So as long as she makes her barbed whip attack and then makes the bladed buckler attack, she's going to inspire, which is kind of nice. So next up after that, we have Rateria, the Entangler. So she has a glaive and a net. It's another range 2 attack action. It has combo, like as I said, and she also has stagger on this attack action. Uninspired, she has the vault rule, which during this fighter's charge super action, this fighter has the flying trait. When she inspires, she just gains the flying trait flat out. And then she inspires, her unique inspire condition is this fighter's attack action staggers an enemy fighter. So as long as her primary attack action lands, she'll get the inspiration on that. All right.
One thing,
so then go ahead.
So one thing about her though that we talked about in the pre-show is that stagger will go on the fighter before the combo attack.
Yes.
So like you can really make the combo attack if you've given her an upgrade really accurate because you're getting a reroll.
Yeah.
So
yeah, because so just to read it, and this is on page 35 in the Gnarlwood rulebook. Stagger, it says this happens before the reaction step after that attack action. So, and then the combo reactions are after the attack action with the combo keyword. So that's awesome. It's a great way to get some accuracy onto your combo attacks, which tend to be a little less accurate since you are getting to make multiple attack actions in the single activation. All right, so the next fighter is Calexis. She is the Silvered Blur. So unlike the rest of the fighters so far have been move 4, she starts at move 5. And then she has the Blur rule on her attack action, and it's a reaction after this fighter's attack roll. Roll 1 attack dice for each success you rolled, including critical successes, and add these to the roll. So she starts on 2 Fury, so not great chances for adding dice, but there are really good chances for that happening when she inspires, because she'll go to 3 Fury, but she also goes to 6 move when she inspires, which is super fast.
Yeah, I don't like. So this is my favorite model out of the whole warband because she has the like pointed tongue coming out of her mask, and she's very dynamically posed, like because she's running so fast.
Yeah.
But I almost like this is the fighter that I probably hold back the furthest because she has range 5 and she's probably not going to land an attack on that 2 Fury.
Yeah.
But once she's inspired with 3 Fury, 2 damage, and 6 move, you can hold her in the back and just wait for turn 3, and then she can come flying in. And that is a really cool attack. Like, because even if you roll 1 success, you get another die, right?
Yeah.
So then that's 4 dice on her inspired side that you're rolling.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
She's a really good candidate for one of the upgrades that increases your number of successes with.
Yeah.
She is.
She's very good for that one.
Yeah. So we'll dig into that. So her unique inspire condition is if you roll 4 or more attack dice for this fighter's attack roll. So if you get really lucky, that's going to happen. But Jason, I'm with you. I think she kind of hangs back, till the third round and meets that inspire condition and goes to move 6. And so the last fighter is Traxia the Aegis. So she has a 3 fury, 1 damage attack, but she has a critical ability on her fighter card, and it is Buckler Jab, and it says deal 1 damage to an adjacent fighter targeting this fighter. So the critical ability rule got added to the rule book, and it triggers whenever you have a critical attack or roll a critical during a defense roll. And so since this says deal 1 damage to an adjacent attacker targeting this fighter, then her critical ability is going to trigger on her defense rolls. The only downside here is that she is the only fighter in this warband to be on a single defense die on shields. So the single shield, is pretty good, but the fact that she's only rolling 1 defense die and hoping to roll that crit to trigger that ability is less good. So,
listen,
and that is her unique.
When Jerod is playing single shield defense dies, it is the strongest roll in the game.
Yeah, but that's me. But that's just for me, right? Like, that's not universal. That's not a universal experience. That's anecdata at best.
Yeah, okay, whatever. I have a single defense die. Oh, crit. Oh, crit. Oh.
And the bad thing is that he knows it. He knows it's going to happen. Like, he rolls it and he's like, I'm going to roll a crit. It's fine. Like, it just happens so often. It's so just
stands out. I say that every time, and it just stands out on the times that I do roll a crit. Anyway, so her unique inspire condition is this fighter uses a critical ability, which I guess if you gave her an upgrade that had crit Grievous, that would count for her inspire condition. So that's good. But what is cool is that when she inspires, that Buckler Jab goes to 2 damage. So, I just crit death to you. Here, have 2 damage.
Take a 2.
Yeah, just enjoy that. So, so that's the fighters. We covered acrobatic. We covered the fact that they all inspire on the 3rd round, that they all have unique inspire conditions. So I guess with that, we're ready to move on to the objectives. So for anyone that hasn't listened to one of our Warband reviews, the way that we do these Warband reviews is we do it mainly from the Rivals format, and these are going to be the top cards that you want to see early in the game. So the top 3 objectives, top 3 gambits, top 3 upgrades that you want to see, preferably in your opening hand or draw into early in the game. So Jason, what do you want for an objective, buddy?
I'm going to go with ritual performance. It's a lot of rituals and performance going on.
That's true. A search. They're like gladiatrix priestesses.
Yes. So it's a surge hybrid. Score this immediately after a friendly fighter's attack action. If that attack action resulted in a critical hit, okay, we know how swingy that one is. But there is another condition that you can meet, or that attack action dealt precisely enough damage to take the target out of action. And a little note here, right? Because a critical ability does not have to be triggered anymore, right? You can select to trigger.
That's true. Yeah, you may.
Yep. So if you got the crit, take the crit hit. But if you had Grievous, right, you didn't have to take it if you needed to do precisely the right amount of damage.
Yeah, that's true. But the nice thing about this card, and it's actually similar to the one that's in Sons of Elmorn, is if you're going to take the fighter out of action with the crit Grievous, you'll score it anyway because you've made a critical hit.
Precisely.
Yeah. I like it. Yeah, it's a good one. Trace, what else do we want to see early?
Storm of Blades. This is a surge. Score this immediately after your Warband's 4th or subsequent attack action in the same phase. There's a lot of combo in this warband. So potentially having 4 attack actions is not as tall of an order as you think.
Yeah. And so Threolic has it uninspired. So she's going to make 2 attack actions.
Yep. And there's lots of upgrades and stuff
anyway
in the deck that give you, follow-ups for your combo attacks. So
Yep. Yeah. So, and then I think the last one is, it's always good to call out some sort of end phase. You can't get all your surges early on. So, I think we want to see Blood on the Sands. I think that's our favorite to see early on. And that is duel. Score this in an end phase if one or more friendly fighters are within 1 hex of one or more enemy fighters with 1 or more wound counters. So you've successfully wounded them, but not taken them out of action. And that friendly fighter is not in your territory. So, yeah, which is going to be pretty easy to do.
Your typical like aggro warband play, right? Like you draw cards a couple turns, a couple activations, and then you boom, and you go up and unload your payload.
Yep. Cool. All right. So before we jump into the gambits, I think we have to call out the flourish. So there are 4 of the 10 gambits in this deck, I believe. 1, 2, 3.
I thought there was more.
4, 5. 5 of the 10 gambits are flourishes. And the flourish is like a domain in that it sticks around, but the effect, the ruling on all of these cards is this effect persists until the end of the phase or until after a friendly fighter's attack action that succeeds. So all of the flourishes have pluses and minuses. Usually the pluses outweigh the minuses, but I'll leave that up to debate. But we just want to call that out before we jump into what gambits that we want to see early. So why don't we just kick things in the same order, Jason?
Unquenchable Fervor. If I had the card right in front of me, it would be a whole lot easier to read it. But the next time a friendly fighter is dealt damage, reduce that damage by 2 to a minimum of 1. This effect persists until the end of the phase or until damage is reduced in this way, which is, I don't remember there being a reduce by 2.
I don't think there is.
It's just, I understand that the fighters are only 2 damage, or 2 wounds, 2 health. So it kind of had to be, but this is like, it persists until it blocks something.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah. I think the only other card that's like that is, isn't there an upgrade for the Grimwatch?
But the reduced by 2, that's reduced by 1.
I think there's one. Oh, I think Grimwatch upgrade is like they can only ever suffer 2 damage.
That's what it is. Yeah.
So it's not quite the same. Could be
anyway, if you have this, if you have this
it's
early,
really
you're probably saving a fighter, right?
Yes.
So.
Yeah. You absolutely are. Unless somebody's swinging a 4 damage attack at one of your 2 wound fighters early game.
Not too many fighters out there that hit for 4 right away.
Nope.
Negative.
Nope. Yeah, it's a good one. And definitely better early, I think, to help keep you alive into round 2 and round 3. So, Trace?
Moment of Rapture. Moment of Rapture is a reaction. Play this after a friendly fighter's attack action that succeeded. Pick one. Heal 2 to that fighter or inspire that fighter. We have not seen an inspire card in a minute, right?
No, I don't think we have.
Yeah, no, I don't think we have not. I mean, there is a condition, right? So we have to have a successful attack action. But the cool thing here is, there are a lot of unique inspire mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
And
that can be difficult to get sometimes.
Yeah, this kind of bypasses it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's good. Right, and then the last one I think that we want to see early is all right. It's Paean.
Yeah.
Paean of Slaughter. And so, Trace, you want to give us the definition since you looked that up?
Yeah, hold on.
It's like a song or hymn of adoration or something. He's looking it up.
Pull it up.
I was hoping you still had it up. That's all right.
Sorry, I closed it. A song of praise or triumph, a paean of praise to the great poets, or a thing that expresses enthusiastic praise.
Oh, nice. So enthusiastic praise of slaughter. Yep, fits right in. So this is it's restricted to your leader, so Gryselle has to be alive, but you can reroll one attack dice in the attack rolls for friendly fighters' attack actions in the next activation step. So we like this, I think, better than some of the flourishes because it doesn't have a downside, and most of the time a reroll is just as good as an additional die.
Yeah, especially with some of the stuff that you want to kind of go off, right? Like you want to get their inspire, you might need that reroll.
Yeah.
It's good, but any of the flourish cards,
yeah,
if they come up, they are definitely worth an investment.
Yeah. And I think the coolest thing about the flourishes is that you can stack them, right?
Yes.
Like you can plop them all out there and then you go make your attack action and get a bunch of different, effects on the top of it, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I think probably and this is the one that we almost threw into this slot that we want to see early, but the downside can be pretty bad. So is Fatal Flourish. So this is after a friendly fighter's attack action that failed, deal 1 damage to the attacker. So that's the downside. But the upside is +1 damage to friendly fighters range 1 and range 2 attack actions. So, if you're going in with a reasonably accurate attack, then you're not going to suffer the downside anyway, and that attack will succeed. You'll get your +1 damage, and then the flourish goes away, so your other fighters aren't having to worry about taking that extra damage. But that just gives you an idea of what you're looking at when you're looking at these flourishes. There's an upside and a downside to them all. All right, so objectives and gambits are covered, so we will jump into the upgrades, and I'm actually going to go first this time because I am a big fan of elf warbands having damage reduction upgrades. So I'm going to pick the Blood Sigil. This is -1 damage to a minimum of 1 from attack actions that target this fighter. So just a flat -1 damage to a minimum of 1. Imagine stacking that with the -2 damage.
Yeah, and minus if you roll
and then if you roll a dodge, right? You're so there's a good chance that even like a 6 damage attack could not take out your leader. Yeah, which would be I don't know, that's borderline negative play experience, but I don't know.
They all have 2 wounds.
They all have 2 wounds, and they're on dodges. So
yeah, I think we can handle that. So Trace.
Yeah. I am picking Paragon of the Arena because holy crap. So this is a reaction. It's an upgrade that it's a reaction. After the declare action step of this fighter's range 1 or range 2 attack action, pick one. Give the fighter 1 guard token. Option 1. Option 2. +1 dice to that attack action until it is resolved. Or option 3, +1 damage to that attack action until it is resolved. Those are all really good things to be picking if you're making an attack action.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's like on tap damage or on tap extra dice, that's real good.
Yeah.
Real yeah, good. And then if you we were talking about in the pre-show, if you combo that with combo,
yep,
you can trigger it twice, and
that's right,
in the same activation
because it's a whole separate attack action that you are reacting with the attack action. You still declare what your attack is. You pick a fighter to attack, and then you actually declare. It's really good.
Yeah, so you're not bound by the normal reaction after an attack action.
Yep. It's also really important to note that is not a restricted card at all. Like that can go on any fighter in the warband, which is huge.
Yes.
Because there's some pretty accurate attacks already that you can add additional dice to or whatever. It's just nice to be able to say, you're doing your power step with your opponent and they're like, I'm going to put an extra defense dice on this guy. Well, okay, cool. I've got enough damage to kill you. I'm going to add another dice to my attack. So Yeah, it's just flexibility is good. I like it.
I agree. All right, Jason.
Yeah, so the last one is Mistress of the Bladestorm, and you really want this card early because it can only go on your leader, and it makes your flourished cards come back and or stay persisting, so it can really multiply the effectiveness of your Gambit cards and the Warbands. So your Warbands persisting flourish Gambits are not discarded at the end of the phase. So if they did not go out, they're still there. And a little pro tip, if you have them and you have not played them and you put this upgrade on, you should play them so then you can draw back up to 5 and they're still going to be there going into the next round.
Yep.
And then also at the start of the round, you can add up to 2 of the Flourish Gambits from your discard pile back into your hand. So again, you're drawing up to 5, and at the start of the round, I'm drawing 2 additional cards.
That's really good. Being able to recycle these powerful flourishes is really good.
Yeah. Like that damage one coming back, the flying charge.
Yeah.
They're
the +1 dice even.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah,
that's good.
They're solid.
Yeah. So
you really want that one early.
Yeah. The one set of upgrades that we didn't call out was all of the attack action upgrades. And so for anyone that has been playing for a while, the old combo playstyle was a little rough because it required successful attack actions in order to trigger the combo, right? Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah, it had to be successful.
And that's why Our Lady of the Whip, Drusilla, was such a big deal, because she gets to do her attack action whether her main attack action succeeds or not.
Yep.
So the ruling on all of these cards says reaction after this fighter's attack action with combo, make this attack action.
The verbiage on the old ones said successful attack action with combo.
Yeah.
On a lot of them. Yeah.
Or I think I'm remembering that properly. If not,
yeah, because they were all in.
They were all of them, but
most of them were in the Arena Mortis stuff. There was a lot of those in there.
Well, so like attack actions had combo, right? It was not the combo, but it was the ones what they call classified as the finisher ones. So like, yes, reaction after this fighter's successful attack action with combo is what a lot of them read.
Yep.
So yeah, this one they don't have to be successful. You're just taking it.
Yep.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
It is. Well, it's good. And then when you add in, because it is an attack action, a lot of the power from the deck, they can get going. One is a range 2, one's on 2 hammers. Like they're not setting the world on fire from just like stat lines, but just the additional attack that can go against any fighter that was within range.
Yes,
is really cool. So.
Yeah. Yep, that's pretty good. All right, Jason, our master of deployment and objective placement. What board?
Well, just before we
looking for? Oh,
before we go on, I got one more mentionable on the upgrades, and that's Star Performer. So anything on the combo that we did say that, hey, they're a little weaker, they're on 2 Fury, or a fighter that's on 2 Fury, or what's her face that needs successes to roll more dice. Yeah. Star Performer is a really good card once you've inspired. While this fighter is inspired, rolls of Fury and Smash are successes in this fighter's attack rolls. We've seen this type of card before, but it's normally on a charge. This is just all the time. And this changes the math so much on those combos.
Yeah. Yeah, you go from, like if you're on hammers, you got a 50% success chance to having a 66% success chance per die.
Yeah, it's
pretty good.
Pretty spicy, but again, it's not the first card I want in my hand.
Yeah, because the fighters have to be inspired for it to work.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That may not always be the case.
So the board, I'm going to kind of cover boards and playstyle together because I just think they mesh so well. So
that's fair.
The playstyle Trace came up with is called opportunistic aggro. And
Didn't come up with anything.
Jason loves
created it.
big words.
I like big words. So their playstyle is aggro, but remember you have 4 2-wound fighters, and often when we saw Blade Coven played the first time, new players would just go across the board. Like, so when you get this warband, you really have to read your objectives. You have to read what cards you have and select when you're going in. So the board you pick has to be an aggro board. Like, I wouldn't have a lot of lethals or blocked hexes, but you want stuff that you can position back because you're 4 or 5 move. And when you inspire your 5 and 6 move. So set yourself up for those turns. And also too, I guess we'll get to that. I don't know. I'll get to it now. Whatever. Forget it. Like, because it is so positional and knowing when to go in, I think this warband is going to require a couple 2-3 playthroughs because of their objectives. Yeah, we covered some of them, but a lot of the objectives are really good, but they're very situational, and you have to know what's coming to be set up for that. Or do I risk it for the biscuit right now because I'm going to be set up to score these objectives? So boards and play styles, you're going to be aggro, but keep your ladies safe. So Trace, new player rating.
Silver.
Because of all that, right?
Because of all that. There's a lot of potential with them, but I think that it's just going to require some reps to play.
Some reps
to play well. Yeah.
Because when you're playing against them, what are you going to do?
Bop, bop,
bop, bop, bop all day long.
All
Bop,
day.
bop, bop while I sing this song.
Yeah. Just
like, you're gonna just do your best
4
monologue
2-wound
impression.
fighters.
You're just, I mean, there's so many 2 damage attacks in this game, like, that are at range 2. Like, I played what's it, the Cunning Crew the other night, and I was like, God, being able to reach at range 2 and have supports from everywhere and do 2 damage, like, they'd nom these girls up in a hurry.
A savvy Gnarl Spirit pack is gonna take out probably at least. I mean, you could almost bank on 2 fighters.
Yeah, turn 1
per action phase.
I actually like. I think with this warband, what you're going to see too is that 2 defense dice. It's been a while since we had a 2 dodge warband, and they are very swingy in the same way the Gnarl Spirit pack is swingy with aggro dice. When you have 2 defense dice, it's just as swingy. And then with the damage reduction, you're like, there are going to be times where like, I am totally outclassed and my dice go hot or the negative damage go hot. Yeah. And then you're just going to have a fighter and you're just going to eat them up because they're going to be standing next to you and you can just have every single one of your elves just slash at them.
Yeah, I think what is going to be the same kind of, like, at face value, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, they're 2 wounds. They're going to be so squishy. But then the thing that we realized with Wormspat, even though Wormspat's on shields, like, that damage reduction is going to make a huge difference a lot more often than we're giving it credit for right now, probably. Yeah. Even if you fail, like, if you're rolling your 2 defense dice and you still get hit and you roll 1 dodge, that 2 damage attack we were just talking about is not going to kill you now. And then you get a chance to swing back. So lots of opportunity.
Yep. I'm excited.
I'd really say they're like 2.5 wounds each.
2 1/3 maybe.
Maybe 2 1/3, but
something like that. Anyway,
I'm gonna soup up the Entangler. How do you say her first name? Retina.
Retina. Oh my gosh, you're the best.
I'm just gonna soup her up, right? She's got a range 2 attack. She's giving out stagger when she hits. I'm gonna put the +1 wound, so she's at least at 3 wounds. I'm gonna put the -1 damage. I'm gonna put the one where I get to select the dice or the damage. Yeah. It's just like I'm gonna give her the upgrade that puts her on 2 2 shields instead of 2 dodges. She's just going to get all in. Like, I am just going to Voltron her, and I'm going to sit in the middle and just try to bop as many things as I can bop.
Note to self. Kill Retaria turn 1 when you're playing
I'm just
against
going to call her
Jason.
eye drops from this point forward.
Eye drops. Danetta.
Danetta.
That's great. All right, so Nemesis. What Rivals deck are we going to pair this with?
So I'll just give my initial reaction, and then you guys can kind of like walk me back from it, right? So when I saw this, I've already seen Blade Coven played with Tooth and Claw, and it's pretty effective. So that's what I like, where I first went, but you guys came up with something differently, and I think it actually plays out better. So what did you guys come up with?
Yeah, so we said Fearsome Fortress. So before we get into why Fearsome Fortress, I want to talk a little bit about why not Tooth and Claw. So a lot of the cards turn you into beasts, which means you can't take the attack action upgrades, and that's a big deal.
No combos.
And then the other thing about a lot of the gambits and upgrades is that all of the damage boosts that you see in Tooth and Claw are for range 1 attack actions.
Mm-hmm.
So like all of those huge damage boosts or dice boosts or whatever are only for range 1 attack actions. And you've got 2 fighters that have innate range 2 attacks, and then 2 of your combo upgrades are range 2. So you're really, I feel like you're kind of hamstringing yourself by trying to tie those in. And maybe you don't need those upgrades, and maybe there's a way to play with just some of the gambits and some of the objectives. But I think a lot of the strength that sits in the Tooth and Claw deck can't be used with this warband. And then thinking about Fearsome Fortress, and actually, Jason, this was a little bit inspired by your pick for the Grincrax Loon Court, is the first thing of note is that there is a lot of stagger in Fearsome Fortress. Ways to hand out stagger. So gambits that'll hand out stagger. And that's really good for these fighters that are trying to make multiple attacks. If you can get rerolls on those multiple attacks, then that's even more damage that you're going to pump through, more opportunities to score your objectives, to take out enemy fighters. The thing that they add to this warband that it doesn't have a lot of are surges that don't require kills. And then there's healing in Fearsome Fortress, and there's extra defense in Fearsome Fortress. And it's really going to let you play into that opportunistic aggro where I don't think it's full counterpunch like we want to play Sons of Elmorn, but I think it gives you ways to build your glory engine early without having to just go ham early. So
I like it. Plus, I can put that cannon upgrade on and shoot you from like
pew,
forever
pew.
away.
That's right. It doesn't have combo on it though. So
I was gonna say, does it have combo? Can I combo?
That would be perfect. Cool. Any closing thoughts? Final remarks?
This is my type of warband. They're a glass cannon. I can't wait to get them out there. You know, I've not played a ton of Wormspat. I mean, I've let both of you kind of take the reins on that warband, but the one thing that I always draws me to it when I want to play is that damage reduction. So this, I can get, you know, some murder ladies out there and just go to town reducing damage and rolling crits on 2 defense dice.
Yep.
Because I need 2, or other people only need 1.
Yep. You do a lot better with 2. All right, cool. So, so we'll end this here. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we will talk about the Beastbound Assault Rivals deck.
And we're back. Welcome back to the beastiest of Rivals decks. This is the Beastbound Assault. So, gentlemen, this deck is all about some beasts, minions, companions, and denizens, all of the Griblies of the Gnarlwood. So this deck revolves around all those different fighter types, and we are going to kind of just highlight some of the cards that we think will be kind of fun for you to use with this deck. if you get your first turn, and these are the cards we're going to kind of look out for to hopefully get you scoring early and beat the pants off of your opponent. So,
wait a minute.
Beat the pants off of them.
Did you read the plot card?
There is no plot card, sir.
Oh, there's no plot card.
This is unbridled bestial fury.
Nice.
Yeah, which is kind of important. I know we don't talk about championship a lot on the podcast, but it is cool that there is no plot card, which allows championship building to use the cards in this deck unbound, right? Like they don't have to select Beastbound Assault as the cards that they're going to build from, giving a little more differentiation from championship to Nemesis. It's also like for the first time too. I mean, you mentioned how focused these cards are on keywords. So before we get into the cards that we select, like just to expand upon that a little bit more, this is the first time we've seen a Rivals deck where I think warband selection plays more of a critical role. A lot of the ones that we've seen before, yeah, there's always going to be optimum warbands to pick, but this one, if you don't have one of those three keywords of minion, companion, or beast, it's going to function a lot differently. Now, there's still ways to play it because of the Denizen upgrades. Like, there is that out in the deck that you could play anything and everything. And there may be an outside chance that one of those warbands can function with this relatively well, but we're not seeing that in our initial like kind of go through. So warband selection while playing this Rivals deck is more crucial than we've seen in the past. And I kind of like it. It gives it a different flavor.
Yeah.
Yep. It that's not to say that you can't run it with other warbands too, because there are multiple ways to get Denizen upgrades out into your hand or onto fighters fairly efficiently with some of the upgrades. The other upgrades are in this deck that aren't necessarily our top picks, but like there's lots of different ways to apply Denizen upgrades to your fighters to help you score these cards within the deck. So multiple different ways to play, but I agree with you, Jason, that leaning into those warbands that have beasts or companions or minions already is definitely a safer bet than trying to guarantee that you'll have the glory or the cards to apply those Denizen upgrades. So with that, speaking of scoring, let's go into the top objectives that we think are going to be usable and featured in this deck on your first turn. Let's start with Jerod.
So I like Unexpected End, and this is score this immediately after an enemy fighter is taken out of action by a friendly fighter other than a leader that is a Beast Companion minion and or has one or more Denizen upgrades. So your standard aggro takes somebody out, but when you have a lot of Beast Companions and or minions and or Denizen upgrades, there's a lot of flexibility in who that fighter can be that takes out the enemy fighter. So, and it's a good surge.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Jason, what about you, bud?
I want to, like, the card art. I want to know what that, like, dog beast thing is.
That's one of the Denizen upgrades.
It's a Denizen.
Is it?
It's a Denizen, yeah.
It's Denizen?
It is a Denizen. Because I think you see a similar picture in one of the other pieces of card art. Yeah, actually, well, we'll get there. Whoever does the next card.
But I still want to know what that is.
What that is? Like, do you want a Warcry warband that is all of these Denizen critters?
That's right.
That's what you want.
That would be cool.
I do. But the next card, which also features my mystery beast, is We Stand Together. Because it has Olo and the Bestest Boy Grawl on the card art, so you know that this card is the greatest objective to ever grace the library of the Underworlds. But it has this mystery beast, and I want to know what it is.
Yep.
Anyway, so We Stand Together is a surge duel. Score this immediately after an opponent's power step if two or more friendly fighters are each beast companion minions and or have one or more Denizen upgrades, and two or more of those fighters are on objectives. That's kind of weird. We want our beasts to be standing on objectives? Sure do. Don't have to hold them. Just be on them.
That's
Yep.
right.
Just stand there.
And then you get a glory.
That's right.
Yep. It's awesome. I will take the last one, and I have picked Train Them Up, which also has some interesting denizen-y card art with a purple and pink bear, spirit bear, attacking
I want the bear.
That thing is cool.
old Jedrin. It's Jedrin, right? That's
That is
Jedrin.
Jedrin. Sir Jedrin.
It's a cool. There's lots of cool art in this deck, so please take some time to enjoy the art from the artists that work so hard on it. So this is a duel. Score this in an end phase if one or more friendly fighters each made one or more move actions, one or more attack actions, and one or more other actions in the preceding phase. And one or more of those fighters is a beast, companion, minion, and or has one or more denizen upgrades. So this harkens back to early Underworlds. It's just a different version of a change of tactics card. So put a fighter on guard and then charge them, and you've achieved this goal. You just won't score it until the end phase. Very solid scoring. Doesn't necessarily, you don't have to be a successful attack action. You don't have to, move your full movement or 6 hexes or whatever. You just put a fighter on guard and then make a move and attack action. So lots of cool stuff.
It doesn't have to be surviving either. So
correct.
You can YOLO in there and still score.
Yep.
And then if you have fighters that have on fighter actions, like the old Exile Dentist.
Yep. Could definitely use that as well. So with that, let's get into some gambits and see how we can help to score these objectives that we've picked out of our first hand. We'll start with the same rotation. Jerod, what about you? What do you think?
Yeah, so while we're here standing together, I get a sense of a blossoming friendship.
It's long past blossoming. I think it's wilting by this point.
It's rotten and
it's just
mutilated.
It's like nurgled.
So this is a gambit. Choose a friendly fighter with no tokens. Give that fighter 1 denizen upgrade from your hand. This does not cost any glory points. Then give the chosen fighter 1 charge token and 1 stagger token. So this is really good early because it allows you to get those denizen upgrades on early. For free without glory.
This is one of those ways we were talking about getting the denizen upgrades on fighters. So even if you're not running a beast heavy warband, this is a very easy way to get a denizen upgrade out and start scoring some cards.
Yep. I like it.
Yep.
Yeah, it was good.
Jason.
I'm going to go with the vicious critters.
I like critters.
Now there's scorpions on the artwork. I just want all these
So
models.
cool.
This is cool. Well, it appears to be scorpions. So this is range 1 attack actions other than scything attack actions. Sorry, Kira. Made by beasts, companions, minions, and or fighters with 1 or more denizen upgrades. Have crit Grievous 1. And the cool thing is this effect persists until the end of the round or until another domain gambit is played. So all your range 1 get Grievous 1 for the entire round for those keyword fighters.
It's pretty gross.
I mean, I don't want to beat an exiled dead horse here, but I mean, can you imagine being surrounded by a swarm of conductive minions and they all have crit Grievous 1?
This is terrifying.
That's why I'm just gonna keep playing my X-Bane and keep those that just at bay.
Yeah,
shoot them every time they move.
Yeah,
keep them well out of harm's way. So I will go last again with well trained. Choose a friendly fighter that is a beast, companion, minion, and or has 1 or more denizen upgrades. Push the chosen fighter up to 2 hexes. We love some pushes. Pushes get you into better position. And let's not look past the card art with the flavor text because it is the the Squig Knight from the new Goblin Warband.
It's the Wonky Lance.
The Wonky Lance, and the flavor text says "hop to it," and I just find that absolutely hilarious.
Bouncy.
So, a push always gets you in a better position, and it's 2 hexes, so you can get well into territory if you need to, or whatever,
or onto a feature.
Powerful on that too.
Onto an objective token.
Onto an objective token with one of your beasts.
Where Blossoming Friendship can really help you out, right? You're taking a charge token, you're taking a stagger token, but if you also have the push and you need to get on an objective token, you're probably going to get there.
So moving away from these temporary things, let's move on to the upgrades. Let's see. Keep going with the same thing. Jerod, what do you think is what's our first top upgrade that you think we should have in our hand first turn?
Yeah, so I really like Deadly Swarm. So this is a Denizen attack action. The card art is a bunch of, angry looking beetle things with wings. So that's good. It is range 1, 2 smash, 1 damage with ensnare, and the Swarm special rule. And Swarm says the damage characteristic is equal to the number of Denizen upgrades this fighter has. This attack action's characteristic cannot be modified. So, So there are 8 Denizen upgrades in this deck out of the 10 upgrades. So not that it's going to happen often or ever, but there is the potential for a range 1, 2 smash, 8 damage attack action on one of your fighters.
Amazing.
But realistically, it's probably going to get you to that coveted 3 or 4 damage attack action with some relative ease if you put it on the right fighter.
Yeah.
I like how it also has ensnare. Like our large fighters have dodge defense, not normally.
No.
Like if I need 8 damage, oh man, I got to get around that ensnare, or around that dodge. Probably not.
Head cracker, tooth dagger.
Yeah, they're the only ones.
Yeah,
that I can recall. I should say. There's always something in those 50 warbands we have.
Yeah,
it's really cool though.
I think this one's really good in the Rivals deck proper. I think it sees a little bit of fall off as you get into Nemesis, but I really like it in the actual Rivals deck, though.
That's fair.
Jason, what is your...
I just want someone's well-laid plan to be Deadly Swarm. This is how I'm going to get through all the fighters, and then someone does something to break it. Be like, oh, absolutely, it's gone.
Yeah, looking at you, Mournflight, with your thing that breaks upgrades, or Swordbreaker if you're playing Championship.
Lightfinger from
Lightfinger too. Yeah,
Buccaneers.
Anything that just kills that upgrade is gross.
I'm gonna cry when you do that to me the first time, Jason.
Well, the thing of it is if I'm playing, well, we'll get to that, but I'm probably gonna play this deck if I'm playing someone that has Lightfinger. So
yeah, that's true.
The next upgrade is Countless Familiars. It is a Denizen. When you give this to a fighter, give that fighter and one other friendly fighter within 2 hexes 1 familiar counter. While a fighter has 1 or more familiar counters, that fighter is considered to have 1 additional Denizen upgrade. So, if I'm reading this correctly, when you have 1 or more familiar counters, that fighter is considered to have 1 or more additional Denizen upgrades. So, by giving someone this card, you actually give them 2 Denizen upgrades. Because they are also getting a counter. Right?
Yep.
So that could add to Deadly Swarm. So we could go to 9. But I think the real function with this card, and the reason we want it early, is it plays into a lot of the objectives, right? If you don't have minions, companions, and beasts, you need people that are probably standing on objectives. Again, not holding them, just standing on them. And they need to have Denizen upgrades. I think there was 2 that actually have to have Denizen upgrades, and then a handful of others that need to hit those keywords on objectives.
Yeah,
and this allows you to do it because you can give it to anyone. So, it's cool stuff.
Agreed. So the last upgrade that we there was some deliberation over this one, but ultimately for the Rivals deck, we settled on one that is not a Denizen upgrade, but it is something that helps you get Denizen upgrades throughout the game. This is a card called Kindred Affinity. At the start of the action phase, draw the top card of your power deck and reveal it. If that card is a Denizen upgrade, give that upgrade to this fighter. This does not cost any glory points, by the way. Otherwise, add that card to your hand. So, you've started round 2. You've got your full power hand. You do this. It's not an action or anything. You just do it. Pull a card. Cool. You reveal it. Cool. It's a Denizen upgrade. You put it on the fighter that you've added this to. Since we've already established that you want to kind of stack upgrades on these fighters, this is your target for this probably anyway. So you're just getting that for free. If it's a ploy or another upgrade that does something similar to this, you can just put it in your hand. Super cool. Just a cool way to get an extra card each round, whether it's on the fighter or in your hand. So card draw is always good. And this lets you do that and apply it for free if you need to. Jason, did you want to talk about the other one that did something similar to this while we're on this little topic?
Yeah, so I think, I think we came around where Kindred Affinity was better for the Rivals deck. But I think that you can make a case that helpful little finder, which is like a little raven style hummingbird that just kind of flies around and gathers stuff for me. Again, just this artwork, all these things I don't have in my game.
All the critters.
So this one is a Denizen upgrade, unlike the other one, and it has kind of the same trigger point at the start of the action phase. Give this fighter 1 upgrade from your hand. It does not cost any glory points. Then you draw an additional power card. Then this breaks. So you only get it for 1 use. But really, with this one, it kind of plays more into Nemesis because maybe I'm not leaning into Denizens, right? And I just want to give a fighter an upgrade that's in my hand that doesn't cost any additional glory, as well as draw another card into my hand. And I think it just plays better in that. Yep. I like it because then I have a choice of what upgrade goes to this fighter, instead of it just being random draw. But in the real power for both cards is you get to draw another power card.
Yep.
So both of them are pretty solid, and they're cool mechanics. We haven't really seen that. Both of them really stink if you bottom deck them, though. Woo.
Agreed.
That's true. 2 upgrades that don't matter.
So we've discussed, our top picks for all the different categories of cards in our deck. So let's move on to boards. I'm gonna make this really easy for y'all. Whatever board works for your warband, just keep using it. You might have to adjust a little bit of your tactics, but whatever works for your warband now is what you'll probably want to use with this deck too.
Yeah.
So with that said, what is the play style of this particular Rivals deck, Jason?
It's weird.
It is kind of weird.
Yeah. It's kind of like this flex aggro, but you want to be on objective tokens. It basically comes down to this: is you want Gribblies to hold. I shouldn't say hold. Be on objective tokens, and you want to Voltron a fighter.
Yep.
At least that's the way our initial read is. And to stay on Jerod's train of the dentist, like just put all your denizens onto the dentist and have the Gribblies push and go and do what they need to do. It's going to play well, and you can do that with multiple other warbands. So flex aggro, be on objectives with your Gribblies, and give upgrades to that ever important fighter of your warband.
Yeah.
Yep. Jerod, how are you fighting against it?
Yeah, so I think the key here is if you can, you want to focus down the people that the Denizen upgrades are going on first. And that is because they probably do not have the keywords that are required for the rest of the deck.
Mhm.
And then after that, you want to go after any beasts, companions, and or minions. Because if you can get rid of all of those fighters, then it eliminates a lot of the objective play.
Yeah, I could totally see that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take the what warband should I play, because we've mentioned a warband in so many times already. If you're gonna play this deck or play with some of the cards in the deck, I would highly recommend playing the Exiled Dead. All the electric boogaloo zombies are all beasts. They have very efficient movement, and you can just stack all the upgrades onto the dentist and be happy days doing whatever you're doing normally. This falls very well into their play style. So that would be our recommendation for the warband of choice. But really, any warband that has beasts or companions in it, we've already mentioned Black Powder's Buccaneers, because all of his additional fighters are companions, I believe, minions and companions. I think we had talked briefly about Grimwatch being potentially a good choice for this too. Any undead warband really is not too bad for this. I think the only exception would be like the Bone Reapers, the Osark Bone Reapers, Canaan's Reapers. I don't know if they're minions or companions.
Yeah, I don't think that. So Canaan's Reapers, I don't think Sons of Elmorn play well with it, and the Crimson Court, I don't think they play well with it either.
No, yeah.
But I mean, I was speaking a little too generally. I just mean the larger death warbands.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would probably play well with this. And then new player rating. What are we giving this? Anybody can answer.
Yeah, so I think silver. It's not quite 100% straightforward. And if you don't have access to the right warband, as Jason mentioned earlier, warband selection is going to be more important here than in previous Rivals decks. And so if you don't have those 3 keywords, the objectives become a lot more difficult to score.
Yep. And as far as Nemesis format, we've already discussed a lot of the different warbands that you could use for this. A couple that we haven't mentioned already would probably be Mollog or Hrothgorn or Spikeclaw Swarm. Gnarl Spirit Pack gets a little nod too, just because they're beasts already, just on their, they get to transform into beasts. But like Jason said, no Kira, you don't get your Crit Grievous extra, so you can keep that locked up. Go ahead, Jason.
So we don't have this question written down, or we didn't discuss it. We kind of went through all the warbands, and to be honest, there was more warbands than I thought when I first saw this deck. I was like, oh, like, what are we gonna do, right? Stay away from an order. Like, there's really only like 2 that could even use anything in here.
Hexbanes is one of them with the dogs, right?
Yeah, Hexbanes I'm curious about because it does have the companion dogs,
right.
And if you take out a hunter, you can give them an upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
So can you start stacking Denizen upgrades? I am a little curious there, and they may be, kind of an off play for it. But what I'm most curious about, because we do have to update the deck library now that this new Rivals deck is out there. What are you guys most excited to play with Beastbound Assault?
Ooh.
I'm just going to pull the obvious here. I think the Exiled Dead is. I think it could do some really good work. Yeah, so I'll just throw that one out there and then let everyone sit in silence while they try to think of a better answer than what I just gave.
I don't have a better answer, but I do have a favorite warband in the list of ones that we have here, and that's my big boy Mollog.
That's yeah.
This gives so many other ways to score other than just trying to bot people.
Yes.
Yep. So I appreciate it. I think that I'm not going to say it has legs or play or whatever, but I would be interested to try it to see how you could utilize the minions in that particular warband in conjunction with adding all these upgrades to Malog. There's only a couple in here that you can't really use on him. One of the thing that there's one is you can't give it to a large fighter.
Yeah.
But giving him yet another way to smash people is always fun.
That's no surprising you're going to bring back Malog.
Yeah, why? Why would you not? No, you shouldn't be surprised. He's my favorite, and I spent the most time painting him of pretty much every warband I have. So every chance I get to play the big troll, I'll play him.
There's one that we didn't mention in the pre-show and that we don't have listed in the notes, but the Cunning Crew. So the Cunning Crew have two minions.
Oh.
Yep.
So I do think that there's kind of some play there. I'm most excited to play Black Powder given the Risa Banner rules on him and the fact that all his fighters can kind of leverage this. I'm cool. I guess I'm just also excited too that a lot of the destruction big boys could leverage this deck. Mm-hmm. And we haven't really seen the big boys played that much in Gnarlwood. Because it has gone more to Drum or Gnarl Spirit Pack. So it'll be nice to see the Mologs and the Rothgorns and Black Powder out there.
I mean, now that you mentioned that, I wonder about Morgok. Because they've got
crushes.
Because they've got some hold objective play already. This would give them the opportunity to kind of double down.
Yeah.
In that regard. I don't know.
You need to get denizens on them, right?
So you're just relying on the denizen upgrades. Yep. Because they are certainly not beasts or companions or minions.
No. But there's lots of different ways to get that status onto those fighters, and so there's I don't think that it is a bad play just because of some of the passive scoring that they have just from getting on objectives, in enemy territory or whatever.
Yeah.
They have some pretty quick scoring stuff to help get those upgrades out quick. So I think I could see it. Be interesting to try. You should try that first before you try the Exiled Dead, Jerod.
That's fair.
I think the obvious. I think you could always just fall back to the Exiled Dead with this deck and still be completely fine. You don't necessarily need reps with it.
No.
Just works.
The problem with Exile Dead in this deck does not help it. It's such a long game, right?
It is.
Experienced that the other day.
I did.
There's so much stuff going on. You just need so many reps, and this deck doesn't help with that because it just adds more complexity to what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, when you get to move 5 fighters with one activation multiple times per game.
It is stressful. I'll just say that. Playing against that is stressful because you feel like you literally feel like you're fighting off a zombie horde with a stick. Yeah. And you have to really be picky about who you try and take out so that you're removing some supports or removing potential stagger or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's lots to think about. Well, gents, I think we've pretty much covered it as far as this particular deck goes. Is there any closing thoughts before we close out this section and get to the wrap up?
No plot card.
No plot
card.
So good.
That's awesome. This is free reign, upgrades and gambits and objectives. So have fun with them, all you championship players out there.
Do it.
And with that, we will take a break and we'll come right back with closing out the show.
And we're back, and that will wrap up the 49th episode of the Battle Mallet podcast. We want to just say thanks again for taking the time to listen. If you want other people to hear about us, word of mouth is great, but you can also smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, whatever it is that the kids say these days, on whatever podcasting platform that you listen to us. We have a website now that is really the home that will link to everywhere else at battle-mallet.com, but there's blog.battle-mallet.com, there's podcast.battle-mallet.com. That's available there. We have a Discord server that you can join. The links for all of these will be in the show notes, of course. We do have a few community shout outs, I guess, before we really close out the show. So a handful of tournaments that we want to shout out. One coming up on April 1st in the United Kingdom, and that is at Element Games. So you can look for the information on the Element Games site there. We'll also have a link to that tournament in the show notes. Friend of the show, Captain Murder, is helping to host the Alberta Classic Grand Clash, and that is May 27th and 28th in the Great White North up in Alberta. So if you can make it up there, that'd be cool. And then our own kind of personal shout out is that we're going to be going to the Nova Grand Clash. That is September 3rd. It is on a Sunday this year. So if you're doing any of the other major games, you can also have time to play Underworlds. But it will be a 5-round best of 3 tournament that runs all day Sunday. So it'll be good.
It will be. I'm excited for it. I'm glad we're off a main day.
Yeah,
I think that it'll attract. 5 rounds is going to be one heck of a day, but I'm looking forward to it. Very excited that Captain Murder, Derek, they have their own Grand Clash up there now. So shout out to you. Thank you for getting that set up for you guys. Wish I could make it up there. Canada is a wonderful place to go. But I just don't think I'm going to be able to swing at that time of the year.
Yeah. And I think the big thing to note here is that the clash that they've organized will have, I think there are 3 golden tickets. There's at least 1 golden ticket for the World Champs being held in Atlanta.
I think it's just
in November. But you could have your chance to go to the World Champs in November in Atlanta, Georgia, if you win that tournament. So, and the same is true for the Nova. So if you want a free admission to a great big old Warhammer Underworld tournament, come check it out.
Yeah, and then before we move on out of shout-outs too, and then just a shout-out to everyone going to Adepticon. I don't know if we'll record before that, but good luck to everyone. Good luck to our friends over there at the What the Hex podcast, the Mortal Realms, Skylar, Brian, Davey, Phil, everybody else in between. You guys have a great time there. Enjoy yourselves. Jerod and Jimmy, good luck as well. And anyone else that is attending, have a good time.
Yeah, maybe one of these years we'll make it up there.
It was close for me this year, but then Sarah booked her birthday party on that Saturday, and I was like,
"Oh yeah, that's not gonna happen."
That'll be that.
Yeah.
And another just random factoid too. The more and more I look at this deck, I've never played Thorns of the Briar Queen on the table.
Really?
Yeah, I think I might actually give this deck a go with Thorns of the Briar Queen.
I like it.
Well, that'll be
I
interesting.
look forward to seeing that deck in the library.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, for anyone that doesn't know, we've got a whole Nemesis deck library that we're building out. We've had some community contributions, which we really appreciate. So if you come up with a Nemesis deck that you like, even if it's not like the bee's knees best of the best, but one that you think is fun, just hit us up. We're battlemalletpodcast@gmail.com, or you can find us on Discord or Twitter or Facebook, and share the deck. We'll post it. We'll credit you as appropriate. If you're another content creator and you've got a blog tied to that deck or a vlog or whatever the case, we're happy to link to that as well. So we just want to try to continue to build this resource for the Underworlds community at large, where people can come and get easy access to Nemesis decks to help either spark their own creative juices, but really more importantly, to help new players be able to jump in and play in the Nemesis format with something that at least works on the surface level without having to put the thought that goes into actually building the deck, and then they can go from there.
And it's worth noting that a lot of the decks that we've put on there, they're all theory crafting decks. Like some of those we haven't really played. So if you find one that you're like, oh, this is interesting, but you find a card that we put in there and then we're like, this doesn't work at all. Like just let us know, and submit it back to us, and we'll add it to the library. We'll adjust our deck, or credit you on whatever deck you've created. So lots of looks good on paper decks to us, I feel like, is what we've done so far. So we love additional contributions.
Absolutely. Cool. So any final closing thoughts on top of that, Jason? Anything to add?
No, looking forward to playing Monday.
Yeah. Oh, it'll be good. So for the Battle Mallet podcast, we are an ever-hungry fiend, an inspiring mascot, and a stalking terror. And we will leave it to the listeners to decide who is who. This is Jerod signing out.
This is Trey signing out.
I am so confused. I gotta listen. I gotta figure this out. I'm Jason Tape and Mary. Get the hell out of here.
Peace.
Go Bills.
The Battle Mallet podcast is protected under the Creative Commons license. If you have further questions as to its use, you can find more information via links on podcast.battle-mallet.com. Music by Anno Domini Beats.
Okay, I understand what you're saying.
Okay. Yate, yate, yato.